Today's topic is talking all about how to be seen for the incredible real you, really talking all about authenticity and how we can really build this self confidence in ourselves internally so that we project that externally without needing to get validation from others to feel the things that we're desiring to feel. And I usually will ask my community for a question or something they're going through and create a topic based on that. So, one of my subscribers reached in and he wanted to talk all about how to get others to see him for who he is. And so this really just sparked a great topic that I want to talk about. And it's a lot of what I help my clients do, right? It is all around how we can master ourselves so then we can master life, we can master relationships, we can master our business, we can master money, success, and all of the other components. But we have to realize that everything in life is just us pushed outward, right? It is just a reflection of our internal state. We are all living in our own reality, basically envisioning ourselves outward. And so, in order to get things from the external, so whether that is people, whether that's situations, whether that's any type of feeling we desire, we need to have it first internally for people to feel it externally. When we get things externally, when we don't feel it internally, it almost feels like a surprise. Like it's like, oh my God, thank you for that compliment. And you're like surprised someone complimented you. That's a way to actually balance you out because you're so low that the universe has to balance you back in by giving you a compliment. The problem is it's not going to land. You're not going to be able to receive it. You're not going to be able to actually feel that long term. It's going to just be like this fleeting moment of feeling whatever someone said to you that made you feel good in that moment. And again, it's just to balance you out. So a lot of people have this same question, right? And the question was asked in the context of relationship, but this is basically anything in life: how to be noticed, how to be seen for who you are. And we can think about this a lot in relationships, right? We want our partner to see us and understand us and know us so deeply that we can be ourselves authentically. But this really relates to any area of life. We want to be seen at work for who we are, what we do. We want to be noticed in our friend group. We want to be noticed in our family, right? This is a common theme no matter what area of life that we're talking about. The problem why we want to feel noticed is because we've lost the connection to ourselves, right? So we've lost who we are at our core because we are looking for all of the answers externally. We're trying to get people to validate us, things to validate us, to make us feel a certain way. And then we think, okay, great. I did that thing that made me have this feeling. I need to do more of that. And so that's how we get into this place of waking up and looking around and we're like, what is this life that we're living? Because we realized that it wasn't based on our authentic self, that it was based on external validation, that we were doing things because people validated us for it, because we felt we should do it, right? This happens a lot in our family where we feel we should be a certain way. And what happens is we start to create this identity around being someone that we're not. And a framework that I use for my clients that I just quickly want to talk about today is it's called BASE and it has two E's. So it's beliefs, actions, self-identity, emotions, and evidence. We're going to talk a lot about self-identity today. It's one of the key pillars. It is who we believe we are, the labels that we've put on ourselves, the qualities that we see about ourselves, and who to ourselves we say we are, right? So we get into this place of if we don't have the things that we deem as valuable, so we're not in a relationship, or we don't have the job that we want, or we're not making the money that we want, what do we tend to do, right? We tend to basically say, well, that person has it, so that must mean they're special and unique, and I don't have it, so I'm not, and I'm not good enough. So how can I conform myself to be better so that people will like me? And we start to put on a show, we start to do things that make us feel out of alignment, and it's almost like this pull and tug with ourself and what we think that we need to do, right? A lot of people can probably relate to this in their careers where they're doing something just to get money, but like it feels like a pull every day in the wrong direction. Like it just feels not good in your soul internally and through the authentic version of you. Kind of seems like using sex as a replacement for intimacy. Sex fills a void. Yes, exactly. Right. It is. So just answering a question here, it's like it seems like when people use sex to fill a void and it doesn't last. And it's so true. We do this with a lot of things, right? We do this with shopping. We do this with things that we buy. We do this with behaviors and actions we do. We do this with drinking. We do it socially, right? We're trying to fill something. And the problem is everyone's trying to fill it this way externally. They're looking outside of themselves to find something to try to fill the void, but it doesn't work that way, right? We have to fill it internally. And when we get it internally, we're going to be overflowing that the external starts to give it to us as a byproduct. And I actually used this analogy the other day, and I thought it was super helpful for one of my clients. So think about inside your body, you have a cup. And the way that the cup gets filled, how, if it's inside your body, you have to drink the water to fill it inside your body. The problem is we're trying to fill outside and we're throwing it against our stomach and it's bouncing off, right? It's not actually sticking. We're not actually feeling what we thought we wanted to feel. And this happens a lot with people who make a lot of money. They think it's going to fill this void because we're told money equals happiness. And we realize that it doesn't. So I want you to think about everything that you're doing is you're filling your cup inside your body. The only way to do that is to give to yourself. Everything we desire, and let's talk about desiring as feelings right now. So we're desiring to feel a certain way. The only way to feel a certain way is to give it to ourselves. So if we want to feel validated, what do we have to do? We have to drink the cup and validate ourselves. We have to validate all of the things that we're doing. We have to see ourselves to be seen. We have to notice all that we do, to be noticed by others. So always think about your cup internally being filled. Now, your reality is going to mirror back to you when your cup is overflowing. It's a byproduct of what you've given to yourself. And the funniest part is when you start to do this, you actually don't even need it from people because you're so full that you don't need someone to tell you you're great. And people are going to be showering you with telling you how great you are because you know how great you are. And it comes to this place of just filling up your cup, filling up your cup. How can I fill up my cup more? Because that is the only thing that matters. And this also works in the opposite way as well. So if you think about, we can only feel things that we give to ourselves when we are in confrontation or we're triggered or we're in a situation that we don't prefer. What tends to happen is a feeling will be brought up within us. And we need to realize that nobody can make us feel a certain way that we already felt inside. Now, it doesn't mean the direct way that they made you feel is the way you're making yourself feel, but somewhere inside you are treating yourself that way. That feeling, that void is already in there. And people, situations, circumstances, thing in your reality are just the mechanism that actually shows you the void inside, right? We're all trying to fill all these voids. A lot of people don't even know what their voids are because they don't know themselves deeply. So if you can change the way you're looking at things, instead of looking at having outside things fill you in, look at outside things showing you the hole that you have to fill, right? It's showing you the emptiness in your cup so you can fill it with yourself, and then you'll get the return of the thing that you want. Any questions on that so far? Let me know if that's all resonating. Perfect. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to look at everything in life as tools that are showing us more about ourselves. The key to life is being able to understand yourself completely. Now, the problem on why we feel so disconnected from ourselves is all the labels that we have, the identity that we have, things that our parents and teachers told us, called us, created a sense of who we are for us based on behaviors that we did that maybe they didn't like or they couldn't handle. When we're born perfect, right? We're these perfect babies that can do no wrong. And over time, we start to create these beliefs. And so think of the holes that are in your body that people are showing you to fill the void as just beliefs that were formed at some point in your life. Typically, they're formed between ages 0 and 7. And then through your life, your all you're seeing in your reality essentially is matching and filtering whatever your beliefs are. So, however old you are, we have that many years of proof of that belief to be true. Again, it's not true, but we created a belief that we weren't enough. And then life has just continued to prove back to us that we are not enough. And so, what we want to do is start to prove the opposite of the current belief that we hold to start to fill that back into ourselves. We want to prove the opposite of what we believe. Now, this isn't going to be a one-time thing. This is kind of what I feel that happens is people will go through a component of working on themselves and they're like, all right, great, I feel good. And then they push it aside. What you have to realize is the neural pathway of not good enough is so strong. It has so much evidence. You have to create more evidence than what's already there of the new belief that you have. So that becomes non declarative. So that is what conscious effort really is. That is being awake and aware, is just consciously changing the thoughts and the beliefs that you have, right? People talk about meditation as a tool to observe your thoughts. I think of it as a tool to understand yourself better. What are the thoughts that come up so I can catch my thought in real time and prove it wrong? Because what creates a belief is thoughts repeated over and over and over again. And then that becomes a belief, right? Those external labels are difficult to get past being getting separated from gave me expectations. Exactly. Yes. So we want to understand what those labels are that we have for ourselves, why we believe that that is true, and we have to debunk it. So what we also want to do, I'm gonna give like a few tools here. So the key to understanding yourself is a few things. We have to see that we are perfect, we are special and unique and solely ourselves. Nobody can be you. Nobody has your experiences, nobody has your story, nobody speaks the way that you do, nobody looks the way that you do, right? You are special and unique as you. Now, what happens is we get lost from this special and unique person. We're trying to be like other people. We're comparing ourselves to other people. And we're trying to feel something because we're not actually aligned with who we are. So we want to like check back into the things that we think about ourselves. So I want you to think about it in two buckets. I want you to first think about the qualities that you like about yourself. So what makes you special and unique, and what are the things you like? And maybe people praise you for this and maybe people like you for it too. That's great. So maybe you are a confident person and you like that about yourself, right? Put that down on the list of confidence as a quality about yourself, right? We want to be able to like write a story about who we are. Like we know ourselves that deeply that I can write a 300-page book about who I am, how my brain works, how I show up, what makes me special and unique. We want to be able to give ourselves all of the things that we want from other people, okay? So you want to write down what are these qualities that you do have already within yourself, what you love about yourself already, and tie memories to it. So the key to actually reprogramming and to actually feel the things internally so that we can feel them externally is by emotionally connecting to that feeling. It is a memory. So the same way that emotions hold an electrical charge in our body for something bad that happens or someone triggers us, why is the trigger so reflective? And it's because of the emotion that is being brought up within you, right? So someone calls you a name, that immediately creates an emotional reaction because you have all of these memories, all of these beliefs that prove back not being good enough. It hurts so bad. The emotion is so strong because the memories are literally being flooded and being pulled in that prove that true. So the way to reprogram to start to really see yourself in a new light and not needing external validation because you know who the fuck you are. You don't need anyone to tell you who you are because you know who you are. Getting that truly to your core requires reprogramming of self, and you need the feeling and the memory to the same emotional charge that you would a negative thing, right? So we want to find what were the last 10 times that I felt truly confident, right? That can even be a simple micro moment. We tend to try to look for all these big moments, but it's actually in the small micro moments that help us reprogram. So let's just say you went to your coffee shop and you ordered whole milk and they gave you oat milk. You went up and asked them to redo your order. That is a time that you can clock of feeling like I was confident, right? I was able to go up and clearly communicate in a respectful way that this is not what I ordered, and I was able to get them to change that, right? So we want to find what all those qualities are and we want to root to them. We want to emotionally feel them. Okay. We also want to take any qualities or labels that we deem as bad, right? So this could be a lot, Brandon, with things that you were shamed for growing up or qualities about yourself that people made fun of you for. So maybe it is shy or being an introvert. And there's a label around that's bad, that you won't be able to get the things that you want. It's just a negative thing that's working against you. What I want you to see is how it's actually working for you. So instead of trying to shame that part of yourself and push it away and be like, I'm not that, extroverts are the way that it is, I need to be more extroverted. No, we want to be more of ourself. We want to be uniquely us and see how being us makes us so special and unique, and it gets us everything we want. It gets us the job that we want. It gets us more money. It gets us a relationship that we want. Brings us happiness. That is what makes us strong. That's what makes us special and unique, is rooting to our innate self. So how is being shy or introverted working for you? Well, you think before you speak, right? So you like to assess a situation before you just go in and start like blurting out what you feel. So you're able to like feel the room, the energy before you actually say the things you want, right? You need to see how that is working for you. So we're not trying to change ourselves. We are not trying to compare ourselves. We are just creating a new label, right? Society has created labels of what's good and what's bad, and we're all trying to conform to them. And in the process, we're losing ourselves, right? So it's rooting back to who we are. Okay, let me know if there's any questions, anything that comes up. How are we feeling so far? Great. Another thing I want to quickly highlight here of what stops us from being our authentic self is that we go on autopilot. So I'm sure you've heard of the term of being on autopilot or sleeping through life, or people who have an awakening, what that actually means. And it truly just means becoming awake and aware to your of yourself and of what is happening around you. When you're on autopilot, what is happening is that you're automatically just reacting, responding, behaving, thinking in one way that you're never changing, because everything is feeding our beliefs. So the thoughts are the things that create beliefs. Our thoughts are also what get us to spiral into a belief. Our beliefs are what we see through the world, our perception. So we have a part of our brain called the reticular activating system. And this is the part of the brain that scans and filters reality to show you what you take in through your consciousness. Okay. Your subconscious brain is back here, your conscious brain's up here. This is like your logical brain, and this is what you can focus on. So we are interacting with 11 million bits of information every second, but our conscious brain is only taking in 50. Okay. So out of the 11 million, you're only taking in 50. Now, how does your brain filter the 11 million to the 50? It is all based on your beliefs. Okay. This is your beliefs about yourself. This is beliefs about the world. This is any belief that you hold is going to just get mirrored back to you. Okay. And the coolest part about changing your beliefs is when you start to have a new belief and then new proof around you, you feel like you're in a completely different world. It feels like you've cracked the code to life. You're like, whoa, I just believed something differently about myself. Now people are saying it to me, right? You realize the power that you actually hold within yourself. and your beliefs and your identity and who you are, and that everything is just mirroring you. Okay, this also helps you not blame and victim because you realize you can turn everything back to you. Okay, why was I a match to experience this? What was brought up within me? How could I give that to myself? Right? Instead of trying to get validation from others, get people to see you and notice you, you have to do that for yourself, right? We're trying to get love outside of us. We're trying to do that through external validation, but it's never going to work. We're never going to feel what we think the thing's going to make us feel. And then it creates the spiral even further because then we're like, what's wrong with me? It must be me. I must be the problem, right? This person is giving me all of this love and I can't receive it. Okay. This was something that I actually felt super deep in my life was that people were telling me things about me that I didn't believe to be true. So I couldn't receive it. And I was like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I accept love? Why can't I feel this love? Why does everyone think that this is the greatest thing ever and I don't? And it was just because there was a disconnect of me feeling it myself. So I was unable to receive it. Okay. So we need to think about this too with our parents and resentment and forgiveness and anything that has happened within our life because people can only give to you what they've given to themselves. So if your mom or dad only gave themselves 10% of love, they can only give you 10% of love. Okay. And so it's hard to understand this as a child, and we don't have our logical part of our brain yet. So everything seeps in as truth, and this is how our beliefs are formed. But we have to realize as we get older, because even though we didn't create what happened to us when we were younger, it is our responsibility now to shift it. Okay. It is for our peace, our happiness, and our fulfillment to let go of the stories that we created within our mind, to forgive things that have happened in our past, because resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. You are just drinking poison all day long. You're only hurting yourself when you have resentment. When you have resentment within your body, when you have emotions that you don't release and you're holding on to, they create sickness and disease in the body. Okay. That is the root cause of sickness and disease. It is holding on to negative emotions, whether that's deep rooted anger, deep rooted resentment that is living inside your body. So we have to learn to understand why things were the way that they were. Okay. So we need to first realize it's not us. Okay. We're not in a place that we're not good enough. We are good enough. Okay. We have to start seeing how we are. And again, this is connecting back to ourselves. We also have to realize that when someone says the statement, our parents are doing the best that they could with the tools that they had, it is true because the tools that they had weren't about giving to themselves. They are taking their shirt off their back and giving it to everyone else. They're putting everyone's needs ahead of their own, right? We are learning through behavior. We have mirror neurons in our brain, and this still happens every day, right? It's like do as I do, not as I say, because the parts of our brain are actually taking in the behaviors that someone's doing. So even when you're in front of your kids and you're trying to put on a show, they can feel the underlying energy and they see the behavior, not necessarily the words that you say. So we're picking up on all of these clues based on behavior, right? So we want to be able to see that what they did, whether that was bad behavior and things that have hurt you and created this uncomfortableness in your body, this sadness, this anger, we have to see how that made us who we are today, right? So we have to actually love a part of it because something bad that happened to you in your childhood that made you who you were today, right? So maybe that made you stand up for yourself because no one stood up for you as a kid. Okay, so that created a quality within you today. So we want to see how it worked for us. That's what helps us forgive and move on. And then we also have to see how it wasn't about us. It was about what they gave themselves. And then that means that's all that they're able to give. So the other really cool thing when you start to do work on yourself and start to find your authentic voice and really root into who you are and what makes you unique and special, understanding all of the qualities about yourself and how that makes you you, This is going to improve everything in your life. It's going to improve your relationships because they will now start to feel more love because you're loving yourself more. Okay. This doesn't mean that you need to start doing more stuff for your partner. This just means when you start feeling more love for yourself, they will start to feel the love more. Okay. So it's all about giving back to yourself. Okay. I'm going to pause again, see if there's any other questions that come up, any situations that you guys are in that you want to bring up that I can address. And another thing that I want to quickly just say as we think about qualities about ourselves and rooting to ourselves, just like how when we have a feeling that someone is mirroring us to bring up within our life, like within ourselves. So if someone makes us feel like we're misunderstood, that's because we're misunderstanding ourselves. So someone making us feel a certain ways because we already have it within us. They're just a mechanism that's bringing it to light, that are showing us that that's a way that we feel. The same is true for qualities that we see in other people. Okay. So a positive quality, if we look at someone and we're like, wow, I love their confidence. If you are able to see it in someone, that means that quality resides somewhere within you. Okay. So it's finding how are you uniquely confident? In what area of life are you confident? Right? You want to look at others instead of comparing and saying they're good and I'm bad. We want to see how if I can see it in someone else, that means I have it within myself. Okay, the same thing with jealousy. When we feel jealousy, the emotion, all that it's showing us is that we desire that. We just haven't allowed ourselves to accept that we're worthy of it yet, right? That we just are missing something that feels that we are able to have that. Okay. Like living a life without regret. Okay. So if you want to type in a specific example of something with regret, I can talk about it. And if you put something in, I'll bring it and tie it into it. But we'll typically look back and regret decisions. Let's just keep this one simple with career. Let's actually make it with relationship. That's how this all started actually in the first place. So we regret how we behaved in a certain past relationship, and we have a story that we've created now because of that situation. So, what happens with regret is the same thing. It's a story that we created within ourselves that we believe would something would be different now if we did something different then. Okay? We're not seeing how the thing that we did then was actually perfect and got us here and is going to get us what we want. The problem is we look back and think, wow, I'm just such an idiot. If I wouldn't have just acted that way and got in touch with my emotions and was better, then all of these things wouldn't have spiraled in the relationship, and then I would be happy right now, right? So we're taking a feeling that we have right now, and instead of addressing the feeling now, we want to blame it on something. And so this tends to be how we get to regret, right? Where we're taking something and creating a story and making it mean something about us. So regret, whatever stories that you have of things you regret, you need to see how that worked for you. How was the greatest thing that could have happened to you? Okay, so now you have proof of what not to do, of how you don't want to show up in a relationship. Right? Think of Thomas Edison. 10,000 ways to not make a light bulb. Okay, life is all about understanding what not to do so that you can make the right choices. We think we need to be perfect and that we have to do everything right. But if you can see everything as right, okay, because the present is all that exists, there is no past, there is no future, there's only right now. When you are bringing up past memories, you are living in the present moment with that memory. So you feel it right now. Okay. So all of those emotions are living in your body. Those are the things that cause sickness and disease. It causes unhappiness, not feeling fulfilled, right? Regret is just a story that you've created from something that happened in your life. And you think if that went a different way, today would be different. Okay. So you have to see how today is perfect and that you are where you are right now because now you're ready to change and move forward. Okay. You've had all these experiences that made you doubt yourself, made you feel a certain way about yourself. And now today, because of those things, that is now making you equipped to be the person that you want to be going forward. Okay. We don't want to live in the past. Living in the past is depression, right? We're regretting, we're in worry, we're in all of these emotions, resentment that are from past stuff that is no longer serving us. When we're living solely in the future, that's anxiety, right? We're sitting in this worry where we are creating a story about what something in the future is going to mean, but that's not there yet, right? There's only today. We can only create the meaning of something today. Good or bad, everything happens, makes you who you are. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Everything is making you who you are. All that there is today. Okay. If it took you 45 years to get here, if it took you 70 years to get here, if it took you 20 years to get here, it doesn't matter. All that matters is that you're here. Okay. And we want to go back to this autopilot thing of life. What happens is most people are going on autopilot, which means they are just behaving, acting, thinking, believing in one way that's automatic. They aren't actually questioning it. They aren't actually looking at, I've labeled this as bad. How is this actually good? Because nothing is good and nothing is bad. Everything is both. It's just what we've labeled it, right? Labels and context are everything. Everything is everything at all times. It's just what we focus in on. Okay. So if we see something as bad, what you want to say is, how is this actually good? How is this actually serving me? Okay. So becoming more conscious is becoming more aware of everything around you. Noting, what are my triggers? Okay. How did it make me feel? What is this pattern? What keeps coming up in my life? Okay. You have to be a detective of your own life. If you don't do it, nobody will. Okay. You have to be a detective of your life. What are the things I'm still holding on to? What are the stories that I have about myself? What are these qualities about me that I shame? What are past decisions that I shame? Right? What do I regret? What do I feel guilty when I do? Why is that guilt coming up? Right? Usually that's because you are saying yes when you want to say no. And then the guilt is what's making you do the opposite of what you truly want to do. So it's getting to know yourself. It's getting to understand who you are, how you tick, how you work, what makes you feel a certain way, what is still running on in your head, what's the story that you have about yourself, and how can you prove that wrong? How can you prove the story that you've told yourself your whole life about who you are, how that's not true at all? Okay? And you change the behavior going forward because it's all in your hands. It's all perception. Everything in life is perception. That's it. Okay? It's what you perceive about your situation. Autopilot means you are just perceiving it based on the belief that was created when you're 4 years old, and your life is running based on that belief. Okay? That's it. Autopilot just means you're accepting that belief from 4 years old as truth right now and you're not questioning it. Okay, that would be your one track mind. When you're putting on a new pair of glasses to see a new perspective, what you're doing is you're pausing in that moment and you are consciously taking control of your life to see, what could I be missing here? Okay. We always want to ask a question. When you're saying a statement that is typically something that is, you know, not true, but we're taking it as truth, right? I'm an idiot. Okay. That's a question. That's a statement. And then when you have a statement, what's going to happen is your brain is going to prove that statement true with all of the proof that it has. So then it's going to give you all of these memories that are going to start popping up that prove that statement true. And then you get into a loop and you continue to believe it. That's autopilot. Then you change your behaviors so that you're not an idiot anymore, right? And then you're inauthentic and then it's mismatching and you're still getting those feelings and then you're like, what the hell is wrong with me? I can't figure anything out. We want to say questions. So questions allows our brain to find the answer. Okay. So when you say, what am I missing? Your brain's it wants to work for you. It's like, okay, let's find what she's missing. Let's look within our reality, right? How am I so smart? What's the opposite of this statement that you're saying? How am I smart? Your brain's going to start finding proof of how you're smart. Oh, wow, I was really smart the other day when I said that statement to my friend. Wow, I was really smart the other day when I, went to the gym. whatever the thing is. Questions allow for answers. Statements are beliefs and things that need to be proven wrong. So you have to switch it with a statement. So, how is this not the ultimate truth? Okay. Where are ways that prove this wrong? We don't want to let our brain go on autopilot because it's going to keep proving back whatever you believe to be true. You have to stop it in its tracks. That is awakening. That is awareness. That is consciousness. Being conscious to your thoughts, being conscious to your beliefs, being conscious about your energy, how you feel, how you're showing up. Okay? So start small, start rooting to you, start to understand and know yourself. Keep a journal. Keep a journal of things that trigger you. How did it make you feel? How did you feel the person was being? Get down to the root, okay? So if somebody triggers you, if your first thing is anger, it's like, great. Anger is an emotion. An emotion is just meant to be felt. That's it. I felt anger. I screamed into a pillow. I allowed myself to have anger. I wasn't shaming myself. Was angry. Great. Now, what did that anger bring up within me? The feeling is our subconscious's interpretation of the emotion, and that's the deeper thing that caused the anger. So then we want to look at, okay, how do I feel that person was being? I felt that they were disrespecting me. Okay. And you'll get down to it. You'll really feel it in your body of like, oh, wow, that's the belief. Okay. So I feel like they were disrespecting me. Okay. Just write that down. Start to see through different triggers what feelings come up. Are there patterns between those feelings? And then what I want you to start to look at is, how am I being that way towards myself? Okay, so are you disrespecting yourself when you say something that you wanted to say and then you're beating yourself up over what you said? That's disrespecting yourself. So people are mirroring that disrespect. Okay, how do you treat yourself? Okay, did you commit to going to the gym every day and then you never go? Okay, that is in your energy putting, I don't commit. People are going to feel that from you, and then they are going to mirror back not committing to you, so that it can bring up again one of those holes in your body of a belief that you have. They can show you that that's what you believe. They can show you how you're being towards yourself so you can shift it. You can only shift it. This is a one-man job. Only you can do it, okay? Nothing from the outside can make you feel a certain way. It'll be fleeting, it'll go away, okay? You can only make yourself feel anything that you want to feel. You're using the outside world, your triggers, your emotions, everything that's happening around you as clues. Nothing is a coincidence. You getting a flat tire is not a coincidence. It's not the roads. It's showing you something. It's bringing up an emotion within you to show you something about yourself, because the interpretation, the feeling is going to be very specific to you. If I got a flat tire and you got a flat tire and you got a flat tire, we would all separately explain a feeling of how it made us feel having a flat tire in completely different ways. Okay. That's how we know it's not a coincidence, and it's showing us a way that we feel inside that we already feel. This is the mechanism to bring it up. So, if there is one takeaway from today, it is that. It is that you are looking at your reality differently. Okay. You are not looking at it as, I'm the problem and then I'm not the solution and everybody else is the problem, right? Like, this person did this to me, this person did that, you're blaming. It's seeing, why was I a match to experience that? What within me could be mirroring, could this experience be mirroring that I'm doing internally, right? We want to look at everything as a clue. Get curious with life. The two best qualities that you can have in this lifetime that I encourage everybody to sit with more. How can I be more authentic? How can I be more me? Okay. If you want to start a business, the only way you are going to be able to be successful and sell is you knowing that you are authentic, that it can only be gotten from you. Okay. That you are special and unique, and what people need is what you have to offer, not trying to be what that person did. You're trying to do what you did. Okay. The second is curiosity. How can I be more curious? How can I question this belief? How can I question this identity? How can I question this situation? How can I take all of this information and get more curious with it? Right? This is the great thing about having a journal on things, is just getting curious. Like, why do I feel this way? How can I change it? Because we know that we can change every single thing in our reality and our situations. How we feel is all within our control. You have way more control than you have been led to believe. Okay. Most people are like, set the boundary, cut the person off, do this. That's what you can control. You can't control people's behaviors, which no, but you can control how it made you feel, which then in turn gives you the thing that you are looking for. Now you have a different energy that you're emitting, which is going to now have you be a match for different experiences. Okay. All right. Let me know any other questions that come up. Anyone working through something? Anyone have something specific? Aha moments you had? Let me know in the chat. Yes. So it reminds you of mindfulness practices, accepting how things are. Yes. So two parts. You want to accept how things are, but you want to also now make the decision that you are going to change things going forward because you're changing yourself, which then changes the reality, right? The thing is, we do the same things over and over again. We expect a different result. That's insanity. So it's instead of feeling like I am just going to accept life as it is and not make a change, and it's just me, you want to also realize you have control to create anything you want. So whatever you desire is because it's already yours. That's why you have the desire, but you have to actually take the physical action to make it come true, right? So we want to accept everything in the past. How can we see and get neutral on it? So what we're doing with acceptance is really neutrality, okay? So it's seeing the equal good and the equal bad in every situation. So if we hold one circumstance that happened in our life as purely negative, that's when the emotion is sitting in our body. That's when we have resentment and anger. We're not seeing the full picture of it. We're only seeing one side. So the point of acceptance is seeing neutrality, right? It's not good and it's not bad. It just is. So you want to get neutral. If there are 15 reasons as to why that situation is negative, you need to find 15 reasons as to why it was positive. That is what acceptance is. It is just being neutral. Okay. And what getting neutral means is usually seeing the positive because we're so in the negative that we have to balance it out, right? The same way when we're purely negative, we need things to bring us down. So think of someone on social media who has such negative self-talk. They are going viral. They need the comments to bring them back to neutrality. Okay. The positive comments are bringing them back to neutrality. So we want to think about it that way. Everything is seeing how everything is both good and bad from the past and then also in the present. And then from there, it is the decision on what you want to do differently. Okay. So it's making new decisions, but we don't want to beat ourselves up over the decision that we do take, right? We also don't want to sit into a place of worry and fear that we never take the decision, make the decision, take the action. We want to always see how it's both good and bad. Even good things that happen in our life, we want to take it down. We don't want to live in this emotional high and this emotional low. This is the roller coaster. I had a good day and then a bad day, a good day and a bad. You're like elated and then you're down. You're elated and then you're down. It's because we're not neutral. Okay? We are labeling things. We label the day as good or bad. We're not seeing the day for what it is, right? We're creating and shaming one behavior as bad and this is good. And if I had more good things that I did, then it was a good day. How can you see how you doing the quote unquote automatic label of bad actually was working for you? How is that actually getting you all your results? How are you tying in what you did to that end result? So it's opening perspective, seeing things from a new light. Amazing. Let me know if there's anything else. Amazing. Yeah, there's so many layers of this. This is obviously one part, and we want to make sure that we're realizing first the awareness of what's happening. And we want to two, realize the control that we have. And the control that we have is to fill up that cup that we talked about earlier. Give ourselves what it is that we're desiring from the outside, understanding our behaviors and why we are doing the things that we do, and really just rooting back to our own genius, our uniqueness, what makes us special and unique, and the best at being us instead of trying to be someone else. We're trying to just be the best at being us. No one can be us. We're us for a reason. And it's rooting and getting into that, right? There are layers to understanding the mechanisms of our fight or flight system, the mechanisms of understanding our ego and how our ego plays in. So our ego wants to just keep us safe. Everything is about safety, right? So if you're people pleasing, it is because there is something underneath it that is a fear that we don't want to look at. So our ego is trying to protect us by people pleasing, doing a behavior that we would prefer to not do, but it feels better to do it because that feels safer. So we have to also understand our nervous system and how we feel, what's uncomfortable about it. And we have to identify what all these things are in order for us to then tackle it. Okay. So if we are in a conversation and we're just going along with them, okay, afterwards you're like, oh, I kind of felt icky because I literally didn't say anything I felt. I just went along with them because I didn't want to create any confrontation and I didn't want to have someone judge me for my thoughts, right? So the safer mechanism that was automatic in your body was to people please. So we want to understand when we're doing that. We have to understand how the brain works, how our nervous system works, and we have to know how, when we get into situations and things, what comes up within us so that we can do something new differently. Okay, this is why mastering yourself is so important, because you have to understand yourself. You have to understand the mechanisms that your brain has, that your fight or flight system has, why we're living in constant states of stress and anxiety, why that is. It's not that you're wrong or that you're broken. It is just that you are an autopilot and it feels safer to do that. And so that's where we go. It is, again, detecting everything in our life based on our behaviors, our actions. We want to understand how our brain works. We want to understand how our body works. We all want to understand what our beliefs are. Knowing that your reticular activating system is scanning and filtering only 50 of the 11 million. The 50 is going to be tied to our beliefs. That is why understanding your limiting beliefs is so important. So reality is literally just a reflection of your belief system. Okay? So we want to get to know what our beliefs are about ourselves, which is the importance of today. What do I believe about myself? What's the story I tell myself? What's the label that I have? Okay? How can I change the meaning of that? How can I see the things I love about who I am, even the quote unquote negative qualities, and start rooting to you? Because when you feel it, other people will feel it. It is the most magnificent thing, but it's also great because you don't even need the validation because you already feel it. You're already giving it to itself. It's like, yeah, of course. Yeah, I already know that about me. I'm not looking for validation from someone on the outside. Okay, amazing. We covered so much today. 2 more minutes if there's any other questions, thoughts, comments. Appreciate you guys joining today, all of the questions, all of the engagement. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Perfect. Give it another minute and then we can log off. If there's anything else anyone has questions on, something specific they're working towards, let me know. Amazing. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day and weekend. You guys are all doing amazing, incredible. I'm so proud of you for joining today, for listening, to coming with all of these questions. You are already way further than you think by just asking the question, okay? By trying to understand it, by trying to better yourself. So give yourself credit because you are doing amazing. Asking questions, listening to this, opening yourself up to new ideas, trying to figure out things. That is half of the battle. Okay? So you're amazing. You're beautiful. Thank you guys so much and have a great rest of your day.